The church in Haworth is all part of the Brontë story, what with Patrick Brontë being the curate there. But what we see today isn't what the Brontë family would have seen looking out of their window from the parsonage around about, 185 years ago? So today I'm going to look back into the past. No, I don't have a time machine. Gosh, imagine if you did. And learn a bit more about the old church that the Brontës would have visited on a regular basis. After Patrick Bronte's death in 1861 and poor Arthur Bell-Nichols not getting the top job, you could say, the position was taken on by the Reverend John Wade. The unhealthy conditions of the water was well known by this point, and in some ways thanks to Patrick, who campaigned for safer water and better conditions for years. The original church was falling into disrepair, and the famous contaminated water from the graveyard was seeping through the church floor. This being that same water that had already filtered through all 40,000 graves in the graveyard. The smell wasn't pleasant, and the people had had enough in general of these bad conditions. So it didn't take much convincing for John Wade to suggest out with the old and in with the new, and designs for a new church were created in 1870. The graveyard had been closed for new burials since 1857, apart from special permission to bury Patrick Brontë with his family, but with conditions. This is what the legal document said. Reserving, however, to the Reverend Patrick Brontë the right of interment for himself in his family vault in the chancel, on condition that the coffin be embedded in a layer of powdered charcoal 4 inches thick, and be separately entombed in brick or stonework, cemented in an airtight manner, and no other interment shall take place within the church. The rest of the country were in outcry about the demolition of the original church. The Brontës were well known by now, and tourists started to come to see this famous location of the Brontë Sisters. But work started nevertheless, and the church was completed in 1879. The footprint of the church changed and was made bigger, and the style became more of the Gothic style of that time. The problem of the smelly floor was solved by adding, like they did for Patrick's grave, 2 thick layers of concrete over the original church floor, sealing in all the graves, including the Brontë family vault. John Wade's son later was known to say on the matter of the Brontë family grave, "The Brontës' grave was in no way interfered with, and the remains were left where they were placed at their funerals. Over their grave, as over the others, was laid a thick layer of concrete, how necessary those who knew the old church will remember, upon which the present edifice stands. I will repeat as emphatically as I can, on the authority of my father spoken scores of times in my hearing, that, undisturbed in their original burial place, that gifted family were left." The only part of the original church that was kept was the lower section of the tower, which was extended upwards twice. The tower still has the original bullet holes where Patrick took to firing his pistol at in the morning, having kept it loaded beside him at night. foundation stone for the new church was laid on Christmas Day in 1879 by local mill owner Micheal Merrill. He contributed £5,000 of the £7,000 that was needed for the build. There are stained glass windows now dedicated to him and his family for their generosity. If you look closely, you can see a mark. Do you think that's where the roof of the old church met the tower? And underneath, it looks like a bricked up archway too. Could that give us a clue about the old church? The elaborate marble font was also donated by Mrs. George Merrill, and the original font is now in the graveyard after going missing for a while. It's now by the grave of one of its old curates, William Grimshaw. It wasn't until 1964 that the Brontë Chapel was consecrated in the tribute to the family. It now holds the communion table, the chandelier and a Brontë memorial tablet from the old church. In 1882, a brass plaque in memory of Charlotte and Emily Brontë were placed on the floor just outside the Brontë Chapel by a pillar. The famous stone tablet with all the Brontë family listed on was in the old church on the wall above the location of the vault. The actual location of the vault now is very misleading due to that brass plaque by the pillar, but the real location is further out. This was proven in 2018 when a local historian and his friend, who was a diocesan archaeologist and who knew the building well, careful measuring from the building plans of the old church and the position of the pillars helped them find this very location. There is a stained glass window called the Brontë window or the American window, depending on how you know it. The window was donated by Thomas Hockley, an American admirer of Charlotte Brontë. It's good to know that the Brontë family are all safe and together, well, apart from Anne, who's in Scarborough, but they're all still there. I was told that the church have been offered all sorts of money to go see the vault, but there is no way anyone can even get down there now. I think I now understand the need for this new church. I mean, who knows if the old one would have lasted this long anyway? Maybe it would have fallen down, who knows? But at least the village have a safe and dry place to worship now. And it has thousands upon thousands of visitors every year just to come and say hello to the Brontës, and that's nice. I hope you found this snippet into the past interesting. I mean, do you have any stories of the church to tell? Did you get married there, or has anyone from your family history talked about visiting the original church? Thank you for watching. I love having you along with me. Please do that whole likey subscribey thing, because it really does help me out and it lets YouTube know we want to watch more Brontë content. Anyway, I will see you all next Friday for more Brontë adventures. Have a good weekend and I'll see you soon. Bye!